Welcome to my channel. It was the end of a turbulent decade, and America stood at the threshold of a new era. The year was 1979, and the Kennedy half-dollar, the coin that many carried in their pockets or kept in a drawer as a symbol of hope and remembrance, continued to resonate with a nation still holding on to memories of Camelot. As people reached for their wallets, perhaps nostalgically pulling out that silver-toned coin, few realized that each 1979 Kennedy half-dollar carried with it layers of history, artistry, minting intrigue, and, yes, hidden value waiting to be revealed. Today, we'll journey together through the story of that coin, the story that begins with a moment of heartbreak and ends with something quite surprising. Imagine you're a teenager in 1964. President John F. Kennedy has been assassinated the year before, and the world is reeling. The United States Mint decides to honor his legacy with a new coin. That coin, the Kennedy half-dollar, is struck and released to the public in 1964, a year after his death. For people then, it's more than just currency, it's a tribute, a talisman, a connection to something bigger. And although the composition would quickly change, from 90% silver to a copper-nickel clad, the coin retained its emotional power, its symbolic heft. Fast forward 15 years later to 1979, a time of disco, of oil crises, of Cold War tensions, yet also of fond remembrance. In 1979, the U.S. Mint produced Kennedy half-dollars at 3 locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark, San Francisco, S, and Denver, D. The Philadelphia and Denver coins were struck for circulation, while the San Francisco pieces were specially struck in proof quality, mirror-finished, sharper strikes intended for collectors. Most people only ever saw the circulation pieces, duller in finish, mixed into their day-to-day spending. But serious collectors chased the proofs, treasuring their crispness, clarity, and depth. Let me bring you into the mints themselves, into that hush, the rhythmic clink of presses stamping metal discs with Kennedy's face. In Philadelphia, the presses were working steadily, churning out millions of coins destined to jingle in register trays, coin jars, and parking meters. As they boxed the finished coins into presentation cases, they knew they were crafting something collectors would prize. Why? Because handling, minor abrasions, microscopic scratches, all conspire over time. Even the slightest touch dulls a coin. So when you held or found a near-perfect 1979 MS68, you recognized you held something rare. And that's the heartbeat of collector appeal, rarity born of preservation. As time passed, fewer and fewer Kennedy halves circulated. People tax-free rummaged, they collected, they saved. By the 2000s, the coin was more a collectible than everyday legal tender. Dealers built inventory, grading services assigned scores, auctions added provenance. A museum curator might cite a pristine proof half in a display, a family might pull one from a junk pile album, each encounter fresh, each coin carrying dialogue between generations. So where have we been? We started in 1964 with a mournful tribute. We journeyed through 1979's minting trifecta: Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco, each coin destined for circulation or collector treasure. We walked through design, artistry, the presses, the tactile experience of spending and saving, the gradual shift toward numismatics, and the story behind why people still hunt these coins decades later. Now, you're leaning forward, waiting for the payoff. What is the current value of that 1979 Kennedy half-dollar? Is it worth more than 50 cents? More than $1? Yes. And, drumroll, today, as of this recording, a high-grade certified proof Kennedy half-dollar from 1979 can fetch $127. That's not face value. That's not token. That's the collector world recognizing quality, condition, demand, history, and scarcity. A PR69 or PR70 in its original packaging, as struck in San Francisco, breathtaking in its mirror brilliance, graded and authenticated, it can command that figure. One coin, minted 46 years ago, polished from the mint and preserved in pristine condition, now worth $127. So next time you stumble on a Kennedy half, maybe from 1979, maybe another year, pause and look. Check the date, check the mint mark. Is it S? Does the strike look deep? Does the surface still mirror like glass? If you come across an example that still gleams, that exhibits no flaws, that's not just currency, it might just be 13 plus decades worth of value wrapped in metal. And in that moment, your coin echo speaks across decades, from a memento of Camelot, through the disco era, to right here, now, where a polished coin commands more than a single spending value. It commands a story, a legacy, and, yes, $127, let that settle. You held history in your hand. You held art. You held something that transcended its face value. And whether you're a collector, a historian, or just a curious person, that coin has more to say than most change ever will. That's the story of the 1979 Kennedy half-dollar, from memorial tribute to numismatic treasure, and culminating with the reveal, at the time of this narration, that coin, in its finest proof condition, carries a current value of $127. And that, dear listener, is a climax worth every raised eyebrow. Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating piece of American numismatic history, the 1998 Kennedy half-dollar, specifically the Roosevelt Mint Mark D. Now, at first glance, this might seem like just another coin from the late 20th century, but trust me, there's a story here that every coin lover and history buff will appreciate. So settle in, because this is going to be a fun ride, packed with history, design insight, minting secrets, and of course, that all-important collector value. Let's start at the very beginning, way back in the early 1960s. The Kennedy half-dollar was born from tragedy and hope. In 1963, the nation was shaken to its core by the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. To honor the late president, the U.S. Mint quickly designed a new half-dollar coin featuring Kennedy's profile, which was unveiled just months after his death. This wasn't just any coin, it was a symbol of a nation mourning but also looking forward. Fast forward to 1998, a year when the Kennedy half-dollar was still circulating, but no longer minted for general everyday use. By this time, the coin had transitioned from a common piece of change to something more collectible. The Kennedy half-dollar's design, iconic and consistent over the decades, remained a testament to JFK's enduring legacy. Now, what makes the 1998 Kennedy half-dollar Roosevelt Mint Mark D so special? Let's break it down. The 1998 Kennedy half-dollar was produced in limited quantities, primarily for collectors, as the general circulation of half-dollars had dwindled sharply by the late 1990s. In fact, by this time, the Kennedy half-dollar was mostly seen in collector sets or special issues rather than everyday transactions. That scarcity combined with its historical significance makes it a coin worth noting. What about the coin specifications? It's a clad composition, meaning it's made of layers of copper and nickel bonded together. It weighs about 11.34 grams, has a diameter of 30.6 millimeters, and a thickness of 2.15 millimeters. The edge is reeded, with those familiar tiny grooves you might find on many U.S. coins. Now, let's talk about the minting process itself. In 1998, the Denver Mint employed advanced striking techniques to ensure the coins had sharp details and a brilliant finish. The D Mint mark is located on the obverse side, right below Kennedy's bust, near the rim. This subtle marking helps collectors identify its origin immediately. But it's not just the mint mark or the design that make this coin special, it's the story it tells about America's past, the legacy of a beloved president, and the evolution of coinage in the U.S. Collectors are particularly drawn to coins like this because they represent a snapshot of history. While it's not an ancient coin, the 1998 Kennedy half-dollar Roosevelt Mint Mark D carries a nostalgic value. It's a coin many grew up seeing, one that reminds people of the era of the late 20th century, bridging the gap between the mid-century Kennedy tribute and the modern numismatic world. Another point worth noting is the coin's condition. Like most collectibles, the value can significantly differ depending on whether the coin is circulated or uncirculated. An uncirculated coin will have no signs of wear, with a sharp strike and clear details, and that's exactly what collectors hunt for. If you've ever wondered whether this coin is worth more than face value, here's the good news: it absolutely is. While face value is 50 cents, collectors today value this coin for around $120, and sometimes even more depending on condition and demand. That's a massive jump from pocket change to a respectable collectible. Interestingly, this coin also marks a period when the US Mint was preparing to phase out half dollars from general circulation due to declining public use. By the late 1990s, half dollars were rarely seen in daily transactions. So, owning one from this era is like holding onto a piece of a fading tradition. Collectors who specialize in Kennedy half dollars often seek this Denver Mint Mark D 1998 issue as a cornerstone piece in their collection. It represents not just the end of an era, but also the meticulous craftsmanship and historical significance that coins carry beyond their monetary face value. Before we wrap up, here's a fun fact: the Kennedy half dollar remains one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. While many coins come and go with changing presidents and symbols, Kennedy's image has endured for over 6 decades, a testament to his lasting impact on American culture. So, what's the bottom line? The 1998 Kennedy half dollar Roosevelt Mint Mark D is more than just a coin. It's a story of a beloved president, a changing America, and a hobby that connects us to the past. If you have one in your collection, treasure it. If you're thinking of adding one, know that you're investing in a piece of history with solid collector appeal. And here's the big reveal: as of today, a 1998 Kennedy half dollar with the Roosevelt Mint Mark D in excellent, uncirculated condition commands a value of around $120 on the collector's market. That's a fantastic return for what might have started as simple pocket change. A single half-dollar coin lies centrally, catching subtle glints. You lean forward, your voice poised and inviting, like you're about to share a secret handed down through time. That I want you to imagine the year 1972, the smell of vinyl records lingering in the air, the echo of American Pie filling your living room, and the world brimming with change. Amidst all that, a quiet emblem of remembrance passed through countless hands, the Kennedy half dollar. Now, let's slip beneath its shimmering surface and journey through its story with all the drama, detail, and heart it deserves. As you hold that coin, its weight, the cool heft in your palm, you're touching American history. The shock still rings from November 1963 when President John F. Kennedy was tragically taken. The nation collectively grieved, the world mourned, and in that moment, the Mint decided to immortalize him, crafting a coin that would carry his likeness into everyday pockets for generations. You can see it now, the sculptor's careful gaze shaping Kennedy's profile with just the right mix of strength and vulnerability. A youthful yet determined visage facing the future, full of promise, framed by his signature blow-dried wave. And what's that on the flip side? The presidential seal surrounded by 50 stars, echoing unity and continuity, a nod to the nation's collective spirit. But the road from grief to coinage wasn't instant. The 1964 launch of the half dollar, fast-tracked yet thoughtful, used 90% silver and 10% copper. The Mint struck over 200 million of them that year, a reply to demand and devotion. By the time we reached 1972, everything had changed. Silver vanished from circulation coins, conservation became priority, and the composition shifted. Our 1972 half is now copper-nickel clad, the same alloy running through everyday coinage. The contrast between that rich, silvery 1964 design and the post-1964 composition has intrigued collectors for decades. The visual is unchanged, the feel lighter, but the soul remains the same. Look closely at the edge of your 1972 coin, that perfect faint line where layers meet, a whisper of the old silver era giving way to the new. Speaking of details, mint marks, now picture all the hands these coins passed through, folded into wallets, jingled in cash registers, chucked into piggy banks and jars, traded for chewing gum. For 1972, unless the strike is uncommonly sharp, most circulate in the realm of modest value, but push perfection, and the numbers climb. Beyond sheer condition, there are alluring anomalies, double dies, where part of the design accidentally stamped twice, ghost-like echoes of lines. It's odd, delightful, and ever so collectible. Also, some half-dollars show subtle die cracks, thin, hairline fractures radiating outward, like tiny tributaries across a river. Collectors sometimes call those spider webs, and they add character, a hint of imperfection that becomes beauty. Let's wander into the economics, because that's where fascination meets reality. In the early 1970s, the US was slowly drifting away from the gold standard. That gleaming 1972 piece, if graded well and handled well, can command a surprising price. I've seen similar pieces cross auction blocks for around $129, and let's pause there. That's the moment where cost meets story. Dive deeper. Why $129, you might wonder. That figure floats in auction results and marketplace listings, often tied to uncirculated examples graded perhaps MS65 or better. Some sellers use buy it now pricing to reflect rarity and demand, but savvy buyers negotiate, collectors swap. Region matters, condition matters more, and provenance, knowing its lineage, can nudge price. There's something poetic in the numbers. A humble $50, minted in bulk to commemorate a fallen president, now stands at the crossroads of finance and fondness. And then, bam, you've got memories, history, and value intertwined, but beyond dollars and cents. And yes, $129 is a handsome whisper in the coin's life. You're holding a narrative. You touch a moment where national mourning met artistic tribute. Where the mint recalibrated its metals, and collectors embraced hope in every line. You hold youth, tragedy, artistry, economics, and our collective past, on something you can feel in your hand. So next time you get a $50, take a breath. Watch how light plays across the face of Kennedy. Turn it over. Let the presidential seal settle into your memory. Think of that 1972 machinery, whirring in Philadelphia or Denver, oblivious to fate, minting history by the truckload. Then think of this, that everyday object might quietly whisper a story, as well as a sweet value of $70+ that honors both past and present. We've walked the timeline, we've seen the artist's hand, heard the minting roar, traced the collector's obsession, and finally, we've revealed the coin's modern heartbeat, $129. It's more than metal. It's memory. It's America in miniature. It's waiting, maybe even in your pocket. Let that price linger in your mind as you lift that coin once more. History is here, in small change. Thank you for listening, for watching, and for loving stories that shimmer. If you feeling inspired, why not hunt for one yourself? And if you already own one, take care of it, because sometimes the quietest treasures hide in plain sight.